Hello, good day, and welcome to the Center of Being Bodywork and Wellness Dojo, LLC. This is my YouTube channel, Center of Being TV, and here at the Center of Being TV, Dojo TV, we discuss a variety of items, a variety of topics in the transformative dynamic journey. Okay, so you may hear me refer to Center of Being as COB for short, or Dojo TV for short as well, but all within the space of claiming this space that we will share and build together, which is the center of our being. So I welcome all of you beings into our space. So I wanted to start with a introduction of myself. My name is Shira Coleman. I have worked in the nonprofit and health and wellness sector for about 20 plus years. I have a medicinal healing pseudonym, or a healing name, and that name is Mama Shah. All right, so my name is Shira Coleman, also to be known and referenced as Mama Shah. If you were to look up my Facebook page, you will see the name Mama Shah. Should you be on my website, centerofbeingdojo.com. My name there, Shira Coleman, my professional and government name. And then in various spaces and places, you will see either of those two names. So I just wanted to familiarize yourselves with who I am and how you may refer to me. All right, so some things about me. I wanted you all to know how it is that I came to the space of starting a YouTube channel and what it is that I intend to do here. And so one of the things that I wanted to share with you is what is my occupation? What is it that for me puts me in a space of feeling like I have something to contribute to the space of wellness, to the space of self-exploration, to the space of knowledge seeking, for those of us who are seeking tools to add to our toolkit in our self-healing journey. What is the experience that I bring to the table? And so I wanted to share some of that with you here today. I am a massage therapist. In 2010, I resigned from my position as a community organizer, and I entered into massage therapy school in 2010. I received over 1,000 hours of training, clinical and also within the classroom. And so in 2011, mid-year, I graduated from that program, took my state exam and passed the state exam to gain my state license in 2011-2012. So I am a licensed massage therapist, bodywork therapist. I did receive training for my practice, and it is a joy of my life when I have the ability to engage in work as a bodywork therapist. It is some of the most rewarding work of my life. Honestly, it has been the work that for me has been a self-healing modality, to be able to share the exchange of energy, to know that the direct commitment of my mind, body, and soul in the intention of that moment, in the effort to heal. It is a very satisfying and sustaining industry of work. It helped to promote within me so much desire to learn about the human being, how we operate in a physical capacity, how we operate in a metaphysical capacity, what are the connections to mind, body, and soul, and what is the pathology of illness and disease. And so I spent a lot of time in my research in that area. In my final project for graduation, I was really interested in soma sets. I was interested in the connection between how disease shows up in the body in a psychosomatic way, right? And so I did a senior study project around the areas and pathology of pain that were demonstrated in the bodies of women and women of color in particularly, in comparison to our counterparts, men, and in particularly white men. What I will refer to as men of no color or women of no color. But that was the bulk of my interest in the work. Was there something that occurs within the dynamic experience, right, life, that impacts us based off of our ethnic identification and our status and affiliation? Was there a soma set that could be predetermined for women, for example, of color, who, of course, do a couple of things: bear children, right? So you're carrying children, and you'll have an impact on the lower back and and you'll have a stretching in the iliacus area. And so was there a predetermined amount of pain or pathology of pain that could be associated with being a woman, A, or B, a woman of color, for example? When providing services to women during this research time, I noticed that the women of color had a 3-point trigger pattern that included the lower back, the mid back, and either shoulder, but particularly in the area of the right arm, and then some in the left, but that was became a different level of study. So anyway, I don't want to digress. So I had this determination to prove to myself or not that based off of the experience that we have socially, that really impacted the pathology of pain and the experience of dis-ease within the human experience and condition. And so that was my big thing. I was an Eastern traditional medicinalist, and I really wanted to work within the ideologies and philosophies of Eastern traditional medicinal practice and healing. So Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese medicine, herbology. I was very interested in the Afro-centric and the Afro-historic healing methodologies and practices of preservation. And so that's where I dabbled around, was if it was an Eastern philosophy, if there was a mind-body-soul connection, that was my key interest. And I was particularly interested as someone who was working in the arena of soft tissue manipulation. How is it that we addressed trigger point connection? How was it that we addressed psychosomatic connection in an effort to release trauma from the body? All right, so bam, that's my massage therapy. I'm an intuitive healer. I've been an intuitive healer, what I can say at this point in time, for all of my adult life, for certain. And I have walked and I have practiced as an intuitive healer all of my adult life. And I'll say that my adult life began instinctively at the age of 18. However, I will claim the space of intuitive healer from childhood. I was gifted with intuitive knowledge, a wisdom that many said was beyond my years, and now that I have reached some of those years, at 50, I can see what people were talking about, because I came with a sense of knowledge that was predetermined in the core of my person, and wrapped around the effort to participate in healing and wellness, being able to look at a person, being able to touch a person, and to feel the space of illness and disease within that individual, to be open and empathetic to the fact that illness and disease could exist, and then above and beyond that, through a truly naturally endowed intuitive sense, be able to pinpoint what was going on in the body, what is going on in the psyche, what is going on, what is the trauma. And so that intuitive healing is a natural component to my person, and one that was has been and was certainly in my childhood very difficult for me to navigate. And you'll hear as we grow and learn together, I'll share more about what it is to be the healing empath, and to live within the space of responsibility, authenticity, and outright conflict with that particular calling. And so I experienced all of that as I have walked on this earth for 50 years as an intuitive. I am a practicing spiritualist. There are a variety of spiritual affiliations in this universe of our being human people, human beings. I, as a young person, was introduced to the practice of Santeria by my mother. My mother had a half sibling who was a fully indoctrinated priestess within Santeria culture, and my mother, who was always a naturalist and someone who believed in nature as the most authentic expression of a commitment to any religion. How it was that we showed up in nature, how we showed up in a natural relationship with each other, and how we showed up in a relationship with Mother Earth. And my mother was very much committed to what she believed was her indigenous culture, and believed that the premise and the foundation of her identity within that culture, as an indigenous woman of the Americas, was the connection to the land and a commitment to nature. And so I've always lived and practiced as a spiritualist in that, in the way in which I was developed as a child, and throughout my own life sought out my own spiritual practices, and maneuvered through various spiritual affiliations in terms of organized communities and unorganized communities of people seeking spiritual depth, right? I'm a life coach, and I am a business development coach. I work as a consultant presently, and I have my own business. The name of the business, again, is Center of Being Bodywork and Wellness DOJO, LLC. As a life coach, I would consider that to be the bulk of how my purpose has manifested in this lifetime. I have coached many a friend, many a foe, many a colleague, many a stranger, many a family member, through various transitions. Myself many times through various transition points in life. I had the pleasure to work professionally in the community organizing arena, during which time I gained a great amount of skill around how to facilitate transformative change, how to develop leaders. I was provided an opportunity to work with platforms that were in the space of rebuilding themselves. So I work with a couple of organizations that at the time in which I worked with them, they were either rebranding or expanding programming, etc., and that's what created the opportunity for me. And because they were in a space of expansion, they were seeking creativity and new ideas and a new face and a new voice and a new presence, because that is how nonprofit organizations work. That is how community organizing and campaign work is sustained. You have to constantly be able to put a new face, a new voice, a new strategy before the people. The issues actually pretty much stay the same, but you are able to engender enthusiasm by the trick pony, right? So anyway, while working in that arena, though, I quite naturally, just for who I am, which is I'm an Aquarius, born in January, and so I am quite naturally wrapped around service of community, right? It's a staple part of the identity of most Aquarians, that we are considered to be the humanitarian of the zodiac. We are also not a water sign, but a water bearer. And so what does it mean to water bear? Think of your mother. All of us who are women within this space, what does it mean to bear water? Whether within the breast or within the womb, it means the ability to bear life, the ability to nurture life. And so as Aquarius, those of us who choose to elevate, we have a very profound and direct commitment to the fact that we are here to nurture and support progressive thought, progressive practice, progressive interaction, progressive engagement. We are here to bear witness, for sure, certain, and to pour out the water, to bear the nutrients, to provide the substance, to provide the clickbait, whatever you want to call it, the inspiration for change through our radical thought and through our unapologetic authenticity, and the willing that we are, the fact that we are always that individual who is willing to walk to the beat of our own drum. We are willing to stand in spaces of isolation to figure things out for the people that are around us. One thing I can tell you about an Aquarius, we are extremely loyal. We are as loyal as you can find. It may not seem that way to everybody because an Aquarius is not for everybody. We keep an extremely small circle, okay? An extremely small circle. And why? Because our mind is so focused on what can be best for the masses and how we can contribute ultimately to that. We have to be careful who we allow into our inner space. And I have to say that as a Aquarius who has had to learn that the planets do truly have a pull on us, and they affect us from our birth. Me being born as an Aquarius, I just naturally moved in a way where everybody was like, oh, you're an Aquarius. And folks that could not identify that I was Aquarius, as I learned more about astrology and the relationship of the planetary pull, and learned more about rising signs and ascendants and moons and Lilith moons and the whole diaspora of astrology. So let me be clear. I am a Leo rising, Leo moon, Aquarius. If you know anything about astrology, you know that Leo and Aquarius are opposite. So there's a lot of juxtaposition in me. People either see my Leo straight on, they see that shit straight on, because, that's how I present. But if you get to know me, if you're allowed within the space of beyond my ego, which I admit is a real thing, I have an ego. I am a Leo rising Leo moon. That ego is very big. And I'm an Aquarius, so I am ruled by a lot of fixed nature. Okay? I get stuck in my ways, but I am loyal to a fault. Loyal to a fault. I do not keep a lot of riffraff around me. It's draining, because of who I allow to be around me. I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to give you all my love. I'm going to give you all my authenticity. I'm going to give you all my bullshit. I am, because I'm going to believe that we are in a space where I know you're safe with me. I know you're safe with me. And even if I have to use a portion of our knowing as an expression of my authenticity, I'm not going to betray you. Now, I'm going to be real about my truth, but I'm not going to betray who it is that I'm loyal to. And because of that, I can't have a lot of people around me with a lot of riffraff and a lot of going-ons. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And life has taught me that my wellness can be completely impacted. My peace can be thrown off. So just know that about me. I'm an Aquarius. We're extremely loyal. All the other things that you hear about in Aquarius will go ghost on you. We certainly will. We can be challenged socially. I certainly can. You can tell me that you love me, and I'll definitely tell you that, I love crackers. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, in a space of sharing who I am and what I'm about, I just wanted to put that out there. I shared that I am, like I said, a life coach and a business development coach, and that I started out in the arena of nonprofit work, working with women in underserved communities, such as Black and Brown communities, to do leadership development, self-empowerment work, and to really engage women in the political dialogue, to really engage women in the social construct of power that is designed in these United States, which is politics, to really engage women above and beyond the image of an issue. I really wanted to engage women in the strategy to gain victory, and really show or demonstrate and provide access to Black and Brown women how to cultivate a campaign so that we are able to show up at the table with our leverage to negotiate the outcomes that we seek. That is politics, okay? Politics is a negotiation of power. Power is your leverage. Leverage are those votes that you bring to the table. Leverage is that community that is willing to be not only vocal, which is what many Black women are taught to be, vocal, which is why we end up being labeled as the angry Black woman, because we're taught to be vocal. Because if you know anything about suffrage work, if you know anything about social justice work, nonprofit work, our presence, our story, the framework that we provide is necessary. All right, we put a face on the issue, but what we're not often allowed to do is show up, not just as the face and the voice, but with the strategy to engage the stakeholders and the players in securing the outcomes that we seek. Okay? This is why I got involved in community and electoral organizing, because I wanted to truly be a implement, a tool, and a tour de force of change. I am a change agent, and you will see that on my LinkedIn. I am a change agent. You can visit centerofbeingdojo.com and learn more about that resume. But anyway, so that's where I got the initial spark of life coaching, and then quite naturally, like I said, organically, my personality, my interests, my social and professional affiliations created this niche for me, where the activity and the expertise of life coaching just came to me quite naturally. Okay, and so recently I've added within the plethora of my various services, which are the bodywork therapy, life coaching, spiritual healing, and intuitive healing. I began to realize, especially within the age of COVID and post, the need for very specific guidance and support to organizations and companies that were moving through this shifting landscape of economy versus social construct, right? In the era of Black Lives Matter, in terms of the social uprising that has come to be known as that movement, and some of the post of that movement, the reality of a global pandemic, COVID-19, and now currently we are experiencing monkeypox. So we have these socially constricting global dynamics taking place, right, that have forced business to change what the normal of business is. And what I realized is that many small organizations in particular that really relied heavily on a peer-to-peer customer service relationship that was face-to-face, direct service delivered, that those organizations were having a challenge shifting into this new remote work marketplace, still being able to maintain standard operating procedures, and while developing on the fly new tools to meet the demands and the needs of their human capital. Okay? What do I mean by that? Let me break that down. Companies and organizations are working with a whole new audience of employee. Once remote work was introduced, some organizations and entities had to scramble to figure out, how do I manage remote work and how do I maximize the potential of this new landscape? How do I organize my teams, and how do I organize my structure so that I'm able to support what is potentially a new highway and pathway of productivity within my organization, right? And I noticed that a lot of small businesses were struggling with the model, struggling to create policies, procedures, and practices that would enable them to transition, right? And so one of the things that I just naturally, again, was good at, and I'll say naturally because my mother worked in the arena of organizational development, and so being her child and watching her do things like organize systems, from filing systems, honestly, to from filing systems to employee handbooks and hierarchy in terms of company structure, just everything that goes in the arena of organizational development, strategy planning, fund resource development, campaign strategy, all of those things, right? All of those things. And I realized when working with a couple of organizations that were launching in the onset of COVID-19, there were some great ideas out there. People had great ideas on how they wanted their companies to respond to the new emerging needs in the marketplace. But there were some challenges around, how do I organize my thoughts? How do I organize my teams? How do I organize my flow of work? How do I organize my standard operating practices and policies so that I can ready myself to engage in this new endeavor? And looking at my career, after having a lot of feedback from people I respect in my professional and personal life, I created a opportunity for myself within my own established identity to provide what I believe is necessary corporate coaching, corporate leadership development coaching. And so that is who I am and what I do. All right. Thank you for allowing me to introduce myself. Okay. I'm going to move through this very quickly. One of the things that I wanted to do was make certain that I honor your time, my time, and keep these opportunities as brief as need be, while giving you what I believe is substantive information, so that you know who it is indeed that you are dealing with, and who it is that presents themselves to you today and is asking you, allow me to come to you. Please join me and let us do the work of developing the center of your being, whether it is your individual person or your business. Please allow me to help you to develop that center. Okay. So my reasons for coming to YouTube. What is my product? Okay. As I shared, it's guidance through this dynamic journey called life, with the various tools that I provide through my life coaching and my business coaching program, as well as certain life hacks that I have learned along the way in the health and wellness arena. One of the things that I have not shared is that you'll see it in various spaces and places on my page as that page develops, because I've pre-recorded several videos. It's just a matter of dropping them all in. Okay. However, let me not lose my train of thought. So I have been diagnosed with lupus. I was diagnosed with lupus in November of 2021. And that was after about a 6 to 10 year period, 4 years that drastically changed my life, suffering in silence, suffering in immeasurable and drastic pain in silence, not knowing what was going on with my body, moving through my own anxieties, fears, and challenges around being diagnosed, working through my relationship of trust with Western traditional medicinal complex, or the medical complex. And so for many years after having my son, which for me was a traumatic experience, the way that I was treated in that experience traumatized me, and I was not fully excited about a return to the Western medical complex. And so, to the best of my ability, I stayed healthy. I ate well, or what I thought was well, and tried to keep my body together, tried to keep my mind together, engaged in various therapeutic modalities to do what I believe was ensuring my health. It was not fully successful. I succumbed to great stress and learned later that I had lupus, okay? And so one of the things that you'll see me share, and one of the reasons why I'm here with you, is to share my journey with lupus, and to really, once again, talk to women of color in particular about how it is that we really need to prioritize ourselves. And so I'll share more about lupus and my journey with lupus, etc. And you'll learn some of my diet and exercise life hacks that have helped me to recover my health. All right. Another reason, excuse me, I apologize. Another reason why I'm here today is to really do some storytelling, right? I have had a dynamic journey, and you'll hear me reference that often, the dynamic journey called life. And my journey has been like all of ours. Every single being on this planet, you'll hear me use that word a lot, has had a dynamic experience, okay? And so part of what I realized during my dynamic experience is that as we transform throughout the various phases of life, we often have to learn to survive our family and our friends while we are living in various phases of transformation, right? And so I want to talk to you about that journey specifically. That is a huge component to my coaching and wellness program, How to Survive Family and Friends While in Transition. And so that is a key conversation that we will have a variety of times in a multiplicity of constructs during our time together in this space and various other spaces. I wanted to let you know as well what I hope to accomplish, right? What I hope to accomplish. I hope that my twofold mission here, to share the universe of knowledge acquired throughout my many transformative life experiences, is gain. I really want to share. I'll share through a variety of methods: storytelling, my coaching programs, the lifestyle hacks that I talked about, and of course my bodywork therapy services. But I absolutely want to make certain that people who often go unrecognized, the healer, has a space to present and gain the respite, healing, and care that they need. And so that healer can present as someone such as myself, who was active in the duty, call, and service of what would be a socially recognized healer, right? But the commitment and the role and responsibility of being a healer can be that of a parent, can be that of a sibling, can be that of an employer who acts with a commitment and a consciousness around a responsibility to their employees and the people who work for them. And so healers can show up everywhere. But because we're all so in need of healing, because there is so much trauma on this planet, healers tend to get used, abused, and kicked to the side. And so one of the things that I want to do with Center of Being is create a space for the healer to heal. Okay? All right. One of the things that I want to address, again, is that there is a shift in consciousness. We have this opportunity to turn the corner in how it is that we engage and relate as social beings, right? The pandemic forced it. We realized that we could be extremely productive when working from our home spaces. We could be productive and contributory to our professional environment, that we could begin to imagine a different way of living. Now, I find it interesting that here we are a year outside of the major onset of the pandemic, and we're dealing with this next phase of things in the monkeypox. And we have this emerging conversation of, let's end remote work. We need people back at work. Why? Why? What's that about? What's that about? And we will address that in many of our dialogues. What is this opportunity that has presented itself in the shift that has occurred quite naturally, where we have an opportunity to shift the way that we engage as human beings on this planet, how it is that we prioritize our health, how it is that we prioritize our peace, how it is that we prioritize our vitality, that we are not here to work ourselves endlessly to the bone to maintain outdated economic systems that maintain oligarchies. We are not here as a composite of life to make certain that a small percentage of us live in optimal expression and vibrancy. No, we are here all to live a life that is expressive and vibrant and maximizes the potential of our purpose. That is not reserved for a small and select few. That has been the fantasy and the fallacy that has been promoted to all of us. And the pandemic showed us that we can shift, right? We can work very what we would once have before considered low class, low wage customer service jobs. Those jobs can move into a higher paid sector remotely. Customer service is always going to be a highly qualified and highly in demand arena of work. There's a shift taking place, and I want to talk about some of that. The other thing that we will discuss within this space is unapologetic authenticity. You'll hear me expose or provide expose on several of my professional and social interactions. I will be exposing with the intent to empower those who have, once again, like I said, been called to this arena of work called healing, have been called to this arena of work called health and wellness, have been called to this experience as a human being. And I want to have some unapologetic and authentic conversations about what it's meant to being engaged in my walk, how I've been perceived and received in my walk, and the impact that's had on my person, my personhood, my personal self, my body, my health, my family, my finances. And I want to get real about that, because sometimes I feel like we don't allow the empath, the natural healer, the intuitive, the spiritualist, we don't allow them the space of being what we allow all others, right? A real person, somebody who might cuss a little bit, somebody who's not always going to have that perfect and right point of view in terms of even how we may approach a situation for healing and resolve. We are still human, and so therefore impacted by emotion. Within all of us, there is the ability to respond and react, and I will be sharing with you the difference in outcomes when I've done either, and what I feel is the responsibility of myself as I am presenting to you today. And as I said, I presented throughout life as a healer, an intuitive, a coach. The juxtaposition to what I feel is my life calling and who I am as a person living that life. All right? All right. And so we will also have an opportunity in our relationship together to explore some things that are upcoming, some things that I've held in my heart for many years that I have been hoping to share with the community. And so as we grow together, I will share with you some of those emerging projects, one of which is the mobile dojo, and you'll hear me talk a lot about the mobile dojo. And of course, we'll hear a little bit more about medicine on the trail, and some conversations and dialogues that are soon forthcoming to this audience here at the Center of Being. So, with that being said, I think we have reached that space of time and allowance. I thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for allowing me to come into your space today, my fellow beings. I encourage you to remember that vitality begins here. Enjoy your day, manifest greatness, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.